In real life, so the thing that my clients hate most is this: they want to stop, essentially, I would say, trading time for money. Does that sound familiar? Hey, welcome back. And this is the Melvin Live Show. This is episode 60. Yes, episode 60. And I'm really, really excited to be. No, this is episode 61. And I'm really, really excited to be sharing this with you here today because what I'd like to talk to you about here today is the idea that, what my clients really, really dislike, and what they really dislike is the idea that they have to trade time for money. Now, but before we get into that, I would like to share with you a little bit of a background. So the year was 1985. Now, 1985 was a very significant year for me, primarily because 1985 was the year that I started my post-primary second education. And what that means is that it's transited from a period of where I am just in the foundational year to a period where it's really a transformational years ahead. And so the next 4 years, arguably was going to be a significant milestone for me. And so 85 was a very special year. In addition to that, 85 was the year that Singapore went into a recession. However, during those times, or at least in 85, the recession was what we call a transitional recession. In other words, when the economy picks up, people who lost their jobs, they will get it back. And so that is the key difference between a recession that you see then and the recession that you see now. Now, so the thing is, when you look at that situation itself in 1985, one of the biggest thing that happened in 85 was the release of the Super Mario Brothers game. Now they released this in a really special way, and I just like to show it to you here. And essentially, what they did was there you go. They came up with this system which is called the Nintendo Entertainment System. So this is that little thing that you would put in a cartridge, and then you'll be able to play the game. And of course, this game was phenomenal because this was the game that truly revolutionized the way that we look at video games. In fact, this game is probably, it's been said here, it's one of the best-selling games of all time, with more than 14 million physical copies being sold. And that's truly significant, right? That's truly, truly significant about that. Yes. Right? And so this is one of the greatest game ever. And what I like to share with you isn't so much about the game, but what I like to share with you is this concept here called job to be done. Right? Go to bed.
Okay. Bye. Good night.
And so, what is job to be done essentially? Well, job to be done essentially is looking at how, when you look at for example, when you look at your customers, when you look at your products itself, you do not think of the product, but what you're actually thinking of is you're thinking of the customer. And there is a very nice quote that I like to read to you, and the quote says that upgrade your user, not your product. Don't build better cameras build better photographers. And that is by Katie Sierra, right? And so if you look at the premise of this quote itself, what it's saying is that do not focus on the product, because your product is not the hero. Your product is not the main thing. The main thing is actually your user. And when we talk about your user, essentially what we're looking at here is that we're saying that your user wants to become a better person. And that is why they would buy your product. Arguably, right? That would be the reason why they will want to buy your product. So it's not about your product, but it's about them. And so very quickly, I just like to share with you this little picture here. And I think many of you will be familiar with this picture because this picture itself actually tells a very significant story. So what does this picture say? It says that, well, at the end of the day, what you're looking at is you are looking at your potential customer. And what your potential customer is going to do is it's going to use your product, and that is what you sell. But what you want to understand is what is it that your customers are buying. So you have that famous saying that your customers do not want a 3-inch drill. What they want to buy is a hole in the wall. And you could even argue by that extension that what they really want is not just a hole in the wall, but they want to put a painting on their wall. They want to be able to impress their friends and their relatives, whoever that comes visit them. And that's exactly what they want to do, right? And so if you look at it from that angle itself and looking at it from this particular picture, what your customers do or what they get after they buy your product essentially is that they become awesome, right? They become awesome and they become the very thing that they want to become. And so like yesterday when we talked about this is where you are and this is where you want to be. Now, this is where your customers want to be. And what they're looking at is that if I am going to be using your solution or your product, then potentially this is going to be able to help me achieve that goal, right? So this is what your customers are buying. They're not buying your product. They are just only looking at your product or any substitutes of your product to be able to help them reach their goal. And we can, of course, talk about the idea of substitute and how that plays into the whole realm of pricing issues for you in a separate episode itself. So here's another diagram that I like to show to you. And this diagram here, again, it's another illustration of the concept that we just talked about. By the way, I will add the URL of this page in the comments, and so that you will be able to go ahead and check out that web page itself. That it's an excellent site by this gentleman called Alan Clement, and you definitely need to check it out because this 12-minute read is probably something that is going to help you tremendously along the way. Now, so let's get back to this. Even though your customers buy this, what they really want is this, as you can see from this diagram itself, right? They buy the wheels, the ball bearings, the carbon skateboard and all that stuff. But what they truly want is this. And so this is just another way of representing the same thing that we talked about earlier on. Now, so what does this actually means? Now, what this actually means is that at the end of the day, what your customers are looking at, it's they are asking themselves, for example, when I buy this product, right? When I buy this product, what is it that it can do for me? I'll give you an example. I traded in my old AirPods for this new AirPods Pro the moment they came out, primarily because I knew that after they came out, they're probably going to sell out of this, and I'm going to have to wait a couple of weeks or maybe months before I can get my hands on this. And so when it came out, I bit the bullet and I actually bought this. But first, I needed to sell my old AirPods so that I could, I didn't want to lay out a lot of cash up front. But I can tell you why I bought this pair of AirPods. I mean, are they expensive? Gosh, golly, yes. I think they are extremely overpriced. That said, the ability for me to be able to wear this AirPods and to be in the train, and the ability for me to turn on the noise cancellation and to hear and listen to a podcast without any interruption. Now, that is something that I was looking for, because I wanted to not just listen to music. I mean, yes, sometimes I want to listen to music, but for the most part, what I want to do is when I'm commuting, I want to take that time to do what I call, or rather what Tony Robbins call net time, no extra time. I mean, you're going to be on the train anyway, so might as well do something valuable, something useful within that amount of time. And so what I did essentially was I wanted to make sure that I'm able to get some kind of education. I can learn something, and I didn't want to be watching videos because I want to keep my eyes open to what's going around. But at the same time, I also wanted to be able to learn something. And the previous version of the AirPod was just not feasible because I was getting so much noise in and I was turning it up. And besides, I've got tinnitus. And so, it's just really, really hurt my ears. So when this thing came out, I was sold on the concept because I didn't want to wear this on the train. It was going to be too uncomfortable. And so when this came out, I immediately put down the dollars to buy this. Yes, it was expensive, but I think it's worth every penny of it, because now I'm able to enjoy, if I choose to, the music, or if I want to, I can enjoy listening to a lecture or a podcast or a lesson using this pair of earphones. And I'm able to get that. And I think for that extra dollars that I'm putting in, it's totally worth it. So there you go. I'm not buying this per se, but what I actually want is for me to be able to consume content on the go so that I'm able to leverage the time that I'm traveling and to be able to get things done, right? So that's the whole idea behind that. Now, so the whole concept behind this, and why did I bring up what the number one thing that my clients hate, which is, or at least my professional clients hate, it's the following. It's that they dislike trading time for money. They recognize, right? They recognize after all these years of being a successful speaker, trainer, especially these days, right? I mean, you get your gigs canceled because it's just not going to happen. And so people are really, really looking at the thing. And truly the way things are going is digital transformation has been fast-paced. Digitalization has been fast-paced. And so this whole idea, this whole concept about being able to leverage technology, to leverage the tools that we currently have to help us achieve our goals and yet not be trading time for money, it's the key idea here. And so when I look at this, and when I say that their number one thing that they hate was trading time for money, what they actually wanted was to be able to earn an income in many different ways, and to be able to earn an income without them being physically there, or the transaction can be completed without them being part of the equation itself. Now that it's not the same as they wanting to do drop shipping and all that stuff. I mean, I got nothing against that, but that's not the kind of e-commerce that I want to do. What I want to do is I want to be able to build something. I want to be able to share my knowledge. I want to be able to help people achieve that goal by achieving that 1 person, 1 million, all things digital. So that's the goal itself. So in that respect itself, I've been asking myself, what exactly is the job to be done of the work that I do with my clients? And the answer that I came up with that is the job to be done is actually to help them do two things primarily. Number one is, or maybe three things, right? But primarily the two things that I'm focused on right now, it's number one, it's what is the best way for them to be able to get the customers or the prospective customers to A, consider them, B, to totally trust them, C, to really want them to work with my client because they do not want to work with anybody else, primarily because what they are looking at is they're saying that, wow, I already know this guy, I already know how this guy works, and I love the way this guy operates. I can trust this guy. He helps me get result, and I want to continue working with him, right? So one, it's how do we do it in such a way that it's able to get people to want to work with us, and how do we convince them? How do we help them get results even without them paying us? Now that is a crucial thing, right? So that's number one. Number two, it's I firmly believe that there is this whole process, this whole system that needs to be put in place, and this system will allow the my client to be able to generate income, generate leads, and to be able to close their prospects in an automated fashion. And so that's what I'm focusing on right now. And so the job to be done for me really is, am I able to help them set up a lead generation system that is refreshing and not your usual download this PDF kind of thing, but is there a way to do it such that it is refreshing, and yet at the same time people get something out of it? I mean, I want people who invest time with me or with my clients to be able to say that, well, even if I didn't, we decided not to go with that person, but I have to say that when I spoke to them, or when I work with them, or when I listen to their podcast, to their vodcast, to whatever, right? I really truly get a lot out of it. I mean, I learn so much. That's what I want to hear. Because right now may not be the best time for people to work with you. However, once you're stuck in the head, it's going to be like that visual thing that they can't get out of their head of. And so that's something that I really, really, truly, that's something that I'm looking at. And so, the primary thing behind this is that, are you, right? Are you able to look at, instead of saying that, well, this is my product, are you able to use this diagram, right? Use this diagram. Let me bring back that diagram again, right? Are you able to use this? My iPad is not working. Are you able to use this diagram to help your prospective customers see that there is something that they could benefit from, right? There is something that they could benefit from. And here you go. Let me just pull this up. So right? So this is what you have here. Essentially, are you able to rethink about your product? It is not what you sell, but it is what it can help your client or your prospect to be able to achieve their goals. Now, if you can and you can do that, then definitely you are one up against the competition. Once again, this is Melvin from the Melvin Live Show, and got a question about how you want to build your business using a one man to be able to build a business, one man, 1 million, all things digital. If you got a question for me, feel free to ask. I'll be more than glad to share with you, talk to you about this. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.